What's up, everybody? It's Justin. Things look a little different, right? A little bit. Do you know where I am? Welcome to my house. We're in my house this week. It's live, Ask Me Anything, number 19. This one is called How Setting Goals Sabotages Freedom. So things are a little bit different tonight. This is actually where it all started, which is pretty cool for me. So if you go to YouTube and check out a video that I did called Why You're Not Losing Weight on the Paleo Diet. It's like the first video I ever did. I have my old school Clovis t-shirt on, and it's the first video I ever did as a nutritional therapist. And that was right here in this room where I am right now, which is super fun. So we're usually downtown in what we call Clovis HQ. And I have the Wizard with me, and we have all this stuff going on, but Wizard's super busy tonight. His son is graduating, so he's tied up. And I got back from Mexico last night. We played a bunch of catch up this morning, all through the afternoon, and here we are. Ask Me Anything, number 19. So we're gonna do it right here, old school, from my house. So in honor of doing it from my house, I've decided that I'm gonna kind of make this a little more chill than usual, or a little more chill than it's been the last several weeks. So I've been doing this for 19 weeks now, which is a very, very long time, and it's gotten bigger and bigger, and we usually have really nice lights and everything, and I always use a whiteboard. Now, that's happened the last, I don't know how many weeks I've been doing whiteboards, but I've kind of fallen in love with it. It's really easy for me to make things visual for you. So I wanted to be able to at least give that to you tonight, because we're gonna go over a lot of stuff. So I'm gonna make this a little bit more like an old school Ask Me Anything. That's what AMA is. So I want you guys to get your questions ready. Ask me questions throughout. Ask me questions at the end when I open it up for live Q&A. This is just kind of a, I don't know what to call this. I just want to touch on the state of the academy, touch on the state of Clovis kids, touch on the state of goal setting and how you all are doing, and how to point you in a direction for success, for long-term success, right? So that's what I want to talk about tonight. And Clovis is getting bigger and bigger. We have over 750 members in the Clovis Academy now, which is awesome. So for those of you that have never seen an Ask Me Anything, that's where I pull most of these questions from. So I'm gonna go ahead and almost do like mini crash courses tonight, where I'm gonna tell you all about ketosis. We're gonna talk a little bit about intermittent fasting. I'm gonna talk about why you're not hungry on my protocol. So this is actually gonna be kind of nitty gritty, down in the deep, for some of these topics of things that people have really been wanting to understand. And I'm gonna help you understand that. So we're just gonna dive in like we used to back in the old days when I used to just answer all them questions that you guys had for me, right? That's how we're gonna do it this time. So, Ask Me Anything, number 19. A few things. This one is called How Setting Goals Sabotages Freedom. So in tonight's episode, it's really inspired by my recent trip to Mexico. Those of you that are in the academy, you guys know that I took a much needed vacation to Mexico, super last minute, booked it like 2 days before I went, was there for like 3.5, 4-ish days, and I want to explain to you what you have to look forward to down the line. Now, I know this is gonna get me into trouble, because when I even do so much as share a bread recipe that you guys can't have in the first 30 days, you guys are like, this isn't fair, right? But I want you to understand what life becomes down the line, and that's what this is all about, right? If you guys see my manifestos in the morning, I say, I believe in the power that I have to make good decisions automatic, to rebuild my life, to rebuild my health, to rebuild my future. That's what we're talking about tonight. Rebuilding your life, rebuilding your health, rebuilding your future. We're gonna talk about what your future looks like, because you guys know that I am a crazy person, and I've been into this for almost a decade, and literally have spent God knows how much money, and have spent God knows how many thousands of hours researching, and that's gotten us to this point where I'm able to give you some advice, okay? And I want you to understand that when you get to this point, it's truly, truly freedom. And that's what I want you to get to. And I can tell you about Mexico to help you understand that, how even in Mexico, I was able to stick to Clovis protocol probably 90+% of the time, honestly. And then I was able to live my life and do things that weren't exactly Clovis and have a fantastic time doing it, right? So I'm gonna teach you the difference between obsession, goal setting, and freedom, right? So let's talk about those things. And then after that, so I want to touch on that first, and then we're going to get into like the nitty gritty of ketosis or intermittent fasting or all these things that you guys have been wondering about, or why you're not hungry, right? That's a big one. A lot of people are asking about that. So we're going to talk about that. First things first, as we always do, Facebook.com/the Clovis Culture. That's where you're watching this. Do me a big favor. I'm going to refresh my page right here. This is really nice because I have my stand-up desk because I'm home, so it's pretty cool. I got my monitor right here, so I can see exactly what you guys are talking about. I'm refreshing my page just to make sure I know that I'm live because I can see you here. There it is. So go ahead and do what I'm doing right now, which I'm going to click the share button, and then it's going to say share now public. So click that share now public button, which I just did. Boom, it's been shared to my timeline. Now I need to click it and make it bigger so I can see all your lovely comments. Hey everybody, bunch of people from the Academy. I love it. Oh, wait a second. I had to mute my computer. I could hear myself talking. All right, so yeah, this one's gonna be a little more chill than normal. I'm gonna get through a lot of the stuff that I wanna talk about, and then I want Q&A to be legit here. So don't feel like you gotta ask me about the things I talk about, or ask me about Mexico, or ask me about ketosis. Just whatever's on your mind, throw it in here. Let's talk about it. I think it'll be really helpful if we go back to that kind of old school, ask me questions, right? Q&A. So we got it here live. I can see your comments. How setting goals sabotages freedom. So this one, if you stay to the end, you're gonna learn a lot, right? Like a lot. So we're gonna talk about, basically just what's happening. What is your first 30 days? So people always ask about the first 30 days after what happens on day 31 and all this stuff. And it's how do we tweak? How do we change things? How do we do this? How do we get better results? And I'm gonna talk about how, that is really not the best way to look at this. And goal setting is problematic here. So that's what I really want to talk about, is how I want you to kind of avoid goals for the first 30 days. Literally completely avoid goals. Why I don't want you to do intermittent fasting, why you're not hungry on the protocol. And of course, I'm going to do a special offer. We do have a special offer for you, and we're going to go old school with the special offer too, because a lot of you have been emailing me saying that you're out of paleo powder. So hint, hint, foreshadowing. We're gonna do a pretty cool special offer. Stick around for the special offer, and you don't wanna miss it, because it's a really good one. And then the live Q&A. And I want the live Q&A to be really robust. Don't leave me hanging. You better give me all sorts of really cool questions. All right, so first things first, there are always a lot of people that watch these. A lot of you are in the Academy, so I get a lot of the same viewers week to week. And then remember, the following days, you guys always need to remember this, right? If we're talking about products that you already know about, or we're talking about concepts that you've already heard, or we're talking about the approved foods list, and you're saying, he's talking about the approved foods list, I've had this for 3 months, right? Remember, 4,000 plus people are gonna watch this after you watch it tonight. So you guys are, it's like a teeny tiny little sliver of the people who are gonna see this video. So remember, we're trying to bring people into the fold. So tag your friends, share it on your friend's timeline, share it via Messenger. In the middle of this, if I say something that you think resonates with somebody, just tag them in the comments, and boom, that's gonna bring them right to this video so they can see it too. Remember, this is why we don't put these videos in the Academy. We put them on the Clovis Culture page so we can reach more people, we can help more people, and we can help your loved ones, right? Because that's what it's all about. We're trying to help people. It is the #1 goal of Clovis, is to impact people's lives for the better. That's why we do this. So if you hear something you've heard before, sorry, there's 4,000 people that are gonna watch you after this, and they need to hear this stuff, okay? So, those of you that don't know me, I am Justin Nault. I am the founder of Clovis. I invented a line of nutritional powders called the Perfect Paleo Powder that a lot of your friends who have tagged you in this video are probably drinking my crazy shakes and feeling fantastic. So I invented those back in 2014, released 7 of them now in November. So those are all paleo. They were actually the first ever paleo-friendly protein powders in the world, certified in the world, before anybody else started doing them. So pretty cool stuff. I am also a certified nutritional therapist. I am a certified specialist in sports nutrition. I change people's lives for the better, usually through dramatic transformations, which is pretty cool. Take a look in the Clovis Academy. It's a free Facebook group, facebook.com/group/Clovis Academy. You can check out those transformations, whether it's 50 pounds in 6 weeks, 22 pounds in 6 weeks, 40 pounds in 60 days, whatever. Crazy transformations, changing people's lives for the better. Get in there, poke around. That will give you an idea. When you see the before and after pictures, you get an understanding of who I am and what I do. Also, Clovis.store. Actually, I'm gonna write that down. I never write this down for you guys, but so Clovis.store/AMA. Clovis.store/AMA. That's where you can find all of my previous Ask Me Anythings, all 18 of them. A whole lot. I'm wondering, guys, is that showing up backwards for you? Let me know if that's backwards, because I might need to spin the camera around, which isn't the end of the world, but let me see what it looks like. It's backwards. Oh, damn, okay. Let me try something real quick. Hold on. Let's see if that's any better. Check, check. There's a delay, so I gotta see what this looks like on my side. There we go, that's a little bit better. Okay, I just gotta tweak this thing. Come on, cooperate. Ah! Hold on, guys, bear with me. Everyone's gonna throw up on AMA number 19. Don't throw up. Man, this is tricky. Is that better? Somewhat. Let me see if that helps at all. All right, I'm watching on my end, so I have a couple second delay. Sorry about this. Let's see. Ah, it's crooked. Damn it. I didn't prep for this. All right, we might have to just do it this way. Let's see. Hold on one second, guys. Bear with me. I'm gonna try to fix this thing. Make it a little bit better. Craziness. You guys are seeing all my Billy Joel records and stuff. That's cool. There we go. That's gonna be better. I can tell. Is it? Is that upside down? Shit. Guys, this is awful. Hold on. Let's see here. You can't have the whiteboard be backwards. We'll hopefully edit this stuff out. All right, let's see how that does. There we go. Did anybody throw up? Did you guys get sick? Sorry about that. Let's do it like this. Here we go. Boom. Got it. All right. So, how setting goals sabotages freedom. That's enough about me. I'm Justin Nault, blah, blah, blah. I can make you healthy and happy, and I can make you puke while watching a Facebook Live. But whatever, dudes. We're not in the traditional setting, okay? So this is old school, and I'm on my own. I don't have the wizard. This is what happens when I don't have the wizard. All right, let's do this. So, how setting goals sabotages freedom. So I've gotten a ton of emails from clients, and all these emails kind of start off the same way. And in my opinion, they're a little bit strange. What happens is they start with the same line, I didn't hit my goal, right? But then they go into what the goal was, and this is where I get into this whole goal setting sabotages freedom. Because people will say things like, oh man, I'm on day 30 and I've lost 12 pounds, but, or like this, I only lost 12 pounds and I didn't hit my goal of 15 pounds. And I'm going, wait a second, so you're taking a look at a fantastic win, like a huge, huge win, and you're turning it from a success into a failure. That's a big, big problem, right? It's because you set a goal. So for instance, sometimes people will say they have a 20-pound goal and they only lost 4 pounds. But what you're forgetting is this person started at maybe 120 pounds, 125 pounds, or 115 pounds. So remember, if you weigh 115 pounds and you lose 4 pounds, this is a huge success. This is a victory, in my opinion. But for some reason, you decided on this arbitrary number of 20 pounds and you didn't hit it. So in your head, you failed. And then you want to ask me what you can do differently to hit a goal that was really kind of an unreasonable goal to begin with. The same thing happens with people who are significantly overweight. So let's say you're 220 pounds and you set a goal that you want to lose 50 pounds, and then you come to me and in the first 30 days, you lost 25 pounds. And you're like, I only hit half of what my goal was. And I'm like, you set a 50-pound goal for 30 days. Like, what are you doing? Because that's something that, and maybe this is my fault when I do these custom macronutrients, these custom plans that we do, right? What happens is I don't ask you for goals because I don't like goals in this space. I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't like goals in the health space. The health and wellness space, I don't like putting time limits on these goals. I think it gets really, really tricky. Like if you say, oh, bathing suit season's coming up, I want to drop 15 pounds, and now it's what, May 15th or 16th, something like that? And you don't drop that 15 pounds, you're gonna think of yourself as a failure. That's you shouldn't do that to yourself, and that's why I don't ask you what your goals are. So maybe I'll do this going forward when I set custom macronutrient for people when I get a new pay client, and I just say, okay, what's your goal? Tell me about your goal. Then I can at least explore and see if their goal is realistic, right? Because I don't want you to set this big giant goal that you don't hit, and then you're looking at yourself like a failure. That's silly, okay? In health, the goal should always just be improvement, to get better. You need to look at the big picture and look at freedom down the line when you rebuild your future, right? I want you to remember, I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for improvement, okay? Always remember that. I'm not looking for perfection, I'm looking for improvement. The same goes for Clovis kids. When you're dealing with your kids, I tell the parents, I'm not looking for perfection, I'm looking for improvement. Granted, that said, I tell you to clean out the whole house. I tell you to go cold turkey with the sugar with your kids. Yes, that's all true, right? But they're still gonna go out in public, they're still gonna eat fruit, someone's gonna give them goldfish. I'm not looking for perfection, I'm looking for improvement. The quickest way to get improvement in kids is through the home. The quickest way to get improvement in yourself is through the home. Yes, you're gonna go out in public, certain things are gonna happen. Not everything's gonna go according to plan. But we need to be realistic about these goals because they need to be looked at as the rest of your life, okay? I can't say this enough. This is your new life. Clovis is not your 30-day, 60-day, 120 goal, 120-day goal. Okay, Justin, when can I get back to my old life? No. If you're looking to get back to your old life, leave now. Like really. That's what I'm saying. We're talking about your life as a whole. That's important, okay? We're talking about your future. It's not 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days. Your clothes fit better, you're losing inches, you're losing body fat, you're losing weight. That's great, okay? I love that. But in the same sense, it almost comes with a level of obsession that makes me a little bit nervous. So for instance, last week's AMA I did on chemicals in the household. Like basically your entire house is killing you, right? True, yeah, your whole house is kind of killing you, but I almost regretted the AMA because you guys don't see not the backlash, it's never backlash, I love the feedback that I get from everybody, but the feedback that I got from last week was like, holy shit, I'm killing my entire family, and my kid has asthma. Do you think it's because I use Glade plugins, and my husband has this inflammatory disease, and do you think it's because of the soap that I use in the bathroom? Like, have I killed my entire family? Blah, 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 blah. It's this kind of like, they were like almost thinking like it's their fault that their family was sick because they didn't know that like Mr. Clean or Pine Sol was bad for you, right? But that's not what I want. I don't want this kind of like insane obsession of you need everything to be perfect and your house has to be chemical free and you can't wear deodorant and you can't use fluoride toothpaste and you have to only eat the approved foods list and you can't travel without taking paleo powder with you and you can't do this and you can't do that, right? It shouldn't be that. That's when you get obsessed with a goal that you need to hit. You will go to any length to hit that goal, even if hitting that goal means unhealthy obsession or doing something that's trying to cut corners, not trying to cut corners because it can work down the line, but like an intermittent fasting or worrying about ketosis or all these things. So it's not, I want you to understand what Clovis is all about. Like, what the hell is Clovis all about, right? So when I use these terms, when I say in the manifesto, right? I am Clovis, I am free, right? I am free. So what does that mean? What does I am free mean? And the reason why I was inspired by my trip to Mexico to tell you what I mean by I am free is I want to let you know what we're working towards, right? This lifestyle, rebuild my life, rebuild my health, rebuild my future. What we're working towards is really the future side of this. So when you get years down the line with your new lifestyle, not your diet, this new Clovis lifestyle, we can talk about how things become. So I wrote down a little bit about my trip to Mexico because I can walk you through it and I can help you understand what being free means. So on my trip to Mexico, right, I ate foods that weren't on the approved foods list. I got a wonderful sunburn because I didn't wear sunscreen. I drank alcohol. I drank a couple of beers, right? I ate bread. I completely avoided working out, right? I completely avoided work. I used whatever soap was available to me that had chemicals in it in the showers of my host's house, right? Where I don't have control over these things. I didn't sleep enough but I brought a few essential supplements with me to help me kind of combat some of these things that I knew were going to happen, right? And I didn't live the Clovis protocol 100% of the time. Now that said, I can list all those things I did for you, and I had an amazing time. And remember, probably 90% of the time, I did exactly what I'm supposed to be doing because those decisions are automatic for me. But then I'm able to make these decisions because I'm free. I'm able to make these own decisions. I don't put myself in a bubble or a box and say, this experience that I'm having right now in Mexico, I can't have a beer right now. You know what I mean? I want you to get to a point where you're comfortable making decisions that are outside of Clovis, because I understand that the rest of my life, after these 3.5, 4 days, the rest of my life are all gonna be Clovis. Right now, I got back home, right? I slept 9 hours, woke up without an alarm, I fasted, I did a workout fasted, a brutal workout, did a fantastic workout, felt like $1,000,000, took an ice cold shower, continued the fast, did a manifesto for you guys, then I made paleo powder and coffee, had perfectly approved foods all day long. I've just eaten exactly what I should be eating. I'm right back on the horse. I'm here doing an AMA with you, and everything is great. And every single day going forward is going to be that until maybe there's a situation where I'm in a place like Mexico. Maybe there's a situation where I'm in a place like Iceland or Norway or places that I want to travel to or have traveled to in the past, right? That's this idea of freedom. When I go there, I can save it for those events. Like your brother's cookout on Sunday is not a good enough reason to start pounding beers and eating burgers and hot dogs and eating macaroni and cheese. That's not a celebration. It's just a Sunday. It's a Sunday cookout. Congratulations. 10,000 of them happen every single day in your state, right? That's not a reason to just go off and be crazy, right? So that's what I'm saying by this freedom thing is, even in Mexico, when I see a restaurant and I get to a restaurant, I see that menu, I really only see approved foods. I don't see the rest of what's on that menu. I kind of blank it out. Like, it's like I see what the approved foods are, and then if I don't see things that are approved, I see the minor tweaks and changes that I can make to get them closer to the approved foods list. And these are tweaks and changes that I'm talking about that, the other guests that I'm with, or even the server wouldn't even know that I'm doing something different. And then when I'm in my guest's house, which was this beautiful couple in their 60s, and they're making breakfast every morning, and they say, here's some fresh mango. Do you want some mango? Hell yeah, I want some mango. I don't eat fruit at home, ever. You'll literally never see me eat fruit. Of course I had mangoes. Then they explained to me this local baker, who's, I believe was from Germany, I think they said, but this baker that makes this bread fresh every day. They bring me sourdough bread every morning for this beautiful breakfast they cooked with me, and they want to share it with me. Do you think I'm eating a piece of sourdough bread? You bet your ass I'm eating a piece of sourdough bread. Why? Because I'm free, because it doesn't matter, right? That experience was so much more beautiful than me going, oh my God, this food may contain lectins, and I may have a small microscopic hole in the lining of my gut for the next 72 hours that I'm gonna need to heal with lignites and probiotics when I get home, right? Does my brain go there sometimes? Yeah, sure, but I'm able to turn it off and enjoy this experience, this beautiful, beautiful experience, It's wonderful. And when I swam in a cenote, and a cenote is basically this body of fresh water in this giant cave. You can see it on my Instagram, right? And while we were there were beers for like $1, and I'm like, you know what? Haven't had a beer since I was in Iceland. Haven't had a beer in 2 years. I think I want a beer. It's $1. Cool. Let's drink a beer and swim in the cenote. Like, do you think I regret that for 1 second? No. It's you can't get so hung up on the obsession of perfection, right? We're looking for improvement, not perfection in all things. And this is what you guys have to look forward to. So I don't want you to get upset with me here, because I know we're talking about the 30 days. And if you were on vacation during the 30-day protocol, your first 30 days, yeah, I would like to see you be as strict as you possibly could. But if you have a trip to Mexico during your first 30 days, then just get back at it when you get home. It's not a big deal. So I'm going to give you scenario 1 of what freedom does not look like. And this is what 90% of people do on vacations, especially tropical vacations. When you're talking about Mexico, where there are cruise ships or beaches or Senor Frogs and all these things, right? All these places that they go to, 90% of people are gonna get all-inclusive or get a cruise where it's all you can eat. Well, I paid for this all you can eat, I'm gonna eat the ice cream every night. Or I paid for this all you can eat, I'm gonna eat bread every single day and sandwiches, right? And then I'm gonna lay out in the sun and get cooked sunburn and lay there. I'm gonna be as lazy as possible because I hate my job, I hate my life. This is the fuck my life approach that people take on vacations, right? You lay down and you got a server and he's bringing you daiquiri after daiquiri, pina colada after pina colada, and you drink them, sugary drinks, and you eat whatever you want, and you take that approach. That's not freedom. That's trying to escape your life, meaning that you have to really take a good look at your life and change some things, right? You should never feel that drastically like when you get away from life, you just have to go balls to the wall because you hate everything back home. Now that's scenario one that I would say is not freedom. But scenario two is also not freedom, and I'm gonna walk you through that one. And I have friends that do these things. I have people that I care about that I know that have done these things in the past. I've seen this a lot in the fitness and nutrition space, and this is not freedom either, okay? So scenario number two is me packing a box full of supplements and pills because I take my normal 50 plus pills per day, and God forbid I miss a single day. I have to take this with me and take them in the morning and bring pills in my pocket to my lunch so I can eat those too, and then I have to take my pills before bed, right? Or offending my hosts when they say, hey, we want to share this bread with you and share this mango, and I sit there and shit in a punch bowl and I go, no, and let me tell you why I don't eat those things, blah, 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 blah. Just being a jerk, right? Shitting in the punch bowl for everyone else's trip. Or me with my limited Spanish, you know, I speak very little Spanish, but I can get by, and I'm gonna try to explain to my server, I'm gonna ask, is there meat grass-fed, or what oil is it cooked in, or I'm paleo, or I'm keto, or I'm low carb, or I don't do dairy, right? Like, I'm gonna try to explain that to them, or then I'm gonna try to hunt down like a CrossFit gym or a local yoga gym or something like that, because God forbid on my 3.5 day trip, I miss a workout, right? Or I'm gonna avoid alcoholic drinks altogether. I'm gonna refuse any local food altogether, completely just destroy the experience of being in a different culture and experiencing different things. Or I'm gonna be in a house full of people that I'm staying with and say, oh, no, I gotta go to bed right now. I gotta get 8 hours of sleep. We gotta get up early in the morning, right? And I'm gonna worry about my sleep patterns and my sleep cycles and all this, right? That's scenario number two. To me, that's almost worse than the F my life approach that I talked about, scenario one. That's not freedom, right? I want you to understand, obsession is not freedom. And I want you guys to understand that, okay? And the Academy is so you guys have so many NSVs, we call them, the non-scale victories, and you guys are doing so great. And I want you to remember that you're at home. You're at home, or you're at your school, or you're at a friend's house, you're at a family member's house, and you're doing exactly what you need to be doing. You're sticking to your guns, you're not over-explaining yourself, you're not shitting in the punch bowl, you're doing a fantastic job. But I want you to remember, in the grand scheme of things, I'm not trying to turn all of you into bubble people who don't leave the house and wear tinfoil hats to protect yourself from the EMF waves that are coming from the Wi-Fi router. You know what I mean? It's like, yes, I would love your house to be chemical free. I would love you to only eat off the foods list all the time. But honestly, I needed that vacation so badly. I didn't even know that I needed it as badly as I did. And when I was there, I was just like, man, this is freedom. I can navigate these spaces in a way that it doesn't feel like work at all. I just do it. It's automatic. These good decisions are automatic. So when I make that little 1% decision that I'm gonna drink a beer, it's totally cool. Did I drink 6 beers and make myself sick? No, absolutely not. But I still enjoyed a beautiful experience, right? And that's what I'm saying is I want you guys to get to where I'm at. And I understand that almost sounds arrogant. I hope that doesn't sound shitty. But I want to give you a picture of what you're working towards, where you get to. So I try to give you guys advice because you don't have to take the obstacles and the roads that I did. You don't have to take all the mistakes that I did. You don't have to spend the probably $100,000 that I've spent on biohacking. You can get there a little bit quicker, right? You will have all this. You will be free. But I'm telling you, the pursuit of perfection is a quick way to burnout. It's a quick way to frustration. It's a quick way to binge days because you feel like you have to be so perfect all the time. And then all of a sudden, you're just it's another ride, right? It's just part of that roller coaster that you've been doing your whole life, the up and down of physical fitness or nutrition or whatever. I want you to remember the journey is the destination. And I want you to love every second of this. You guys are never gonna be where you are again. A year from now, you're not gonna recognize yourself. This is your early stages of Clovis. You should really enjoy it and be happy and be super excited every time you learn something new. It shouldn't be, I only lost 6 pounds, I wanted to lose 10. God, this Clovis thing is so hard. I've been doing everything perfect, right? It shouldn't be that. So let's take a little break. I want you to you guys you're focusing on results sometimes. And I want you to understand that you're like, okay, this is you, right? That's a caterpillar. You guys are all little beautiful caterpillars, right? You're little caterpillars. And eventually you're gonna become butterflies and be ridiculously free. But I want you to just remember the grand scheme of things, right? Down the line, how you change your life for the better. And goal setting with your health and fitness is not the way to do that. And we're gonna get into goal setting next. I'm gonna take a look at some of these comments here. How are we looking? All right, nothing's upside down now, thankfully. Technical difficulties build character. Yes, they do. All right, how many people we got? Yeah, there's quite a few in here. You guys are quiet on the comments today. All right, cool. I'm checking comments. All right, so let's get into goal setting. Now that I'm kind of giving you my rundown of, that was really my laying on the beach inspiration of like, oh man, I need to tell people how I feel right now, because this is super important stuff. You know, the journey is the destination. You're gonna get to a point where you experience this level of freedom and it's just automatic, and it doesn't matter who has opinions about your stuff. None of that stuff matters. So let's talk about goal setting. Health goals should not have limits on them. 9 out of 10 times, this is the case, right? I'm gonna give you an example. I'm a big fan of goals because I'm an entrepreneur and I've always been an entrepreneur, right? So if you say, I want my family to be debt-free by the year 2020, great. Put a time limit on that goal, save your money, work out your budget, figure stuff out. That's a fantastic goal to put a time limit on. But if you weigh 200 pounds and you want to weigh 150 pounds, then maybe you can make 150 your goal, but don't say I'm going to be 150 pounds by June, right? You have the rest of your life. I don't believe in this time limit thing for your health and wellness goals. That's a quick way to make things very, very difficult, and again, lead to binging or frustration or things like that. Now, in certain medical situations, of course, like if you're a type 2 diabetic and you're trying to get off insulin, or you have a type 1 diabetes situation or anything like that that you're trying to correct, of course, okay, we can set goals. I can teach you how to do those things in a very healthy way. I deal with type 2 diabetics all the time. That's the easier of the two. And I also deal with type 1 diabetics, right? So I want you to understand that if there's a medical situation, of course, we can talk about a goal. But in general, with health goals, I don't like time limits. I want you to look at it like your future, to rebuild my life, to rebuild my health, to rebuild my future, right from the manifesto. So I need you guys to, the missing link here seems to be like a patience thing, right? So you talk about the mentality of that. There is only one goal: improvement. So this goes for physical stuff too. Like if you want to run faster or jump higher or squat more, bench press more, like if you want to add 50 pounds to your bench press, that's cool, man. Say you want to add 50 pounds to your bench press, but if you say, I'm going to add 50 pounds to my bench press by June, I got news for you. I've done a lot of bench pressing in my life, and you're setting yourself up for failure. So I just don't want you guys to set yourself up for failure, right? So strict goal setting can take a huge success and make it look like a failure. Like, I only lost 10 pounds, I wanted to lose 20. I only added 10 pounds to my bench press, I wanted to add 30 pounds to my bench press. It's endless, it's endless, it's endless. Now, and of course, I want you guys to set what I would call mini goals for that long term, like as we talk about life, to rebuild my life, to rebuild my future. When we talk about future, there can be a lot of mini goals in that. So you can say, you know, I want my house to be chemical free, or I want to be, well, I'd love to say that was the first time that I've had a Facebook Live die in the middle, but it's not. So let me pull this back up and see how many of you are still with us. I'm really sorry, I don't know what happened. So I had to turn the camera around so that all this stuff wouldn't be backwards when I'm writing on the wall. And now, it died. So here we are again. Okay, I'm looking at it here on the page. I don't know how many of you are gonna pop in and get on here. I think it died like 5 minutes ago or something, so I don't remember exactly what we were talking about. But if you want to leave me comments and tell me where I left off, that would be super helpful for me. So I think we're talking about probably what else. I hope I got to the what else portion, where it's the constantly like when you have goal setting and you have goals that you want to hit. It's like, what else can I do? What else can I do? What can I tweak? Is that what we were talking about? Somebody leave me a comment real quick if you know where we left off so I don't just repeat the same stuff for you guys. Hi, Cambria. Welcome back. Thanks for coming back. I appreciate it. Jackie, tell me where we were. What was I talking about? I don't know I gotta make sure that I can see how this dies. If I'm looking at my notes, I don't wanna miss if it turns off. So, what was I chatting about, guys? Tell me. Tell me. What else? Okay, yes. So, we're talking about what else. That's if you guys have goals that you're setting that are in any way unrealistic, then that's where you jump into the what else scenario, right? So the what else scenario is, yeah, you were right there. Okay, great, killer. So what else can I do? Let's do this again, all right? So what else? If I didn't hit my goal, what else, right? And that's what everybody wants to talk about. They want to talk about what can I tweak, what can I do, what can I change, right? It's what can I, the biggest one for me is what can I take? Everyone says, I want supplements, Justin. Now I want supplements because my goal was 20 pounds and I only lost 15 pounds in 30 days and now I'm looking at myself like a failure, so you need to help me be successful, right? I get literally probably 30 emails like this a week of what else. So I want to take supplements, I want you to change my macros, right? I want to change macros. I want to exercise. I want fitness, right? I want to fast, right? And that's a big one. I don't know if we got this far on the other one, but fasting, right? Everybody jumps to fasting. Should I be intermittent fasting? Should I be fasting completely? Like, I want to fast so I can get into ketosis, right? How do I get into ketosis, right? Ketosis, how do I do this? And I know not all of you are saying that ketosis is your goal or anything like that, but I get a lot of emails with this constant tweaking, and I think it's because of unrealistic goals or huge things that should be huge successes. Like if you lose 10 pounds in 30 days, like no matter how big or small you are, that should be a giant success. That should be looked at like a giant success. But if your goal for 30 days was 30 pounds, then now all of a sudden this looks like a failure. You see what I'm saying? That's not a healthy way to go about this. I just want to make sure that you guys are understanding that we're talking about the rest of your life, right? So I got into this, I don't know if I missed it because of this what else thing, but I was basically saying that all of you in the academy are really, you're infants in this thing. You're infants in this thing. And again, I hope that doesn't sound bad that I'm like, wait till you are where I am. You know what I mean? It's not like that. I just want you guys to be able to look forward to this. That if you sabotage yourself early on and make things more difficult than they need to be with this constant tweaking and what do I need to know? I need to know Justin must know something that he's not telling me. Or Justin must know this or must know that. Yeah, sure. I'm going to get into it, right? I'm going to get into it here in a minute. I'm going to talk to you about ketosis. I'm going to talk to you about all these things. Give you a little mini masterclass on that so you can understand why I'm not so huge on everyone doing the ketogenic diet, right? So that's the thing is you just need to trust the process and understand that everything that I've done in the last 6-7 years, whatever, everything that I've learned, I'm giving it to you in a perfect little package, and you will progress. As things progress, at the end of 30 days, you don't need to get back to 6 days of working out or 7 days of working out. It's like, all right, Justin, you told me not to work out for the first 30 days. Now it's day 31, and I want to go to hot yoga, and I want to do kickboxing, and I want to go to Orange Theory, and I want to do the CrossFit, and I want to do this, blah, 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 right? You want everything all at once, right? So the missing link here, I think, is really patience. I want you guys to do healthy goal setting. Like I said, if your goal is to be healthier, that's a fantastic goal. There's 1,000,001 ways that we can make that happen. Right? If you want to lose 30 pounds, that's a fantastic goal. It doesn't need to be June. Doesn't need to be July. Right? Doesn't need to be. Could be. But the issue is you're going to sacrifice things on the way there. So that's why I keep telling people you won't recognize yourself a year from now. You really won't. You probably won't recognize your family a year from now because by then a lot of them will have come around. A lot of things have changed. Same thing with Clovis kids. You won't recognize your kids a year from now. You're setting them up with the tools that they need. I've given you guys the tools that you need. If you've done a custom macro plan with me, a custom nutrition plan with me, I have literally given you all of the tools that you need. Yes, I will throw some things in here and there as we get down the line, as you see significant weight loss, as we add in exercise, as we maybe talk about supplementing things on an individual per person level, right? We can talk about those things. But you don't need to just, it's literally like drinking a full bottle of tequila. It's like you just want the whole thing all at once. You want everything to be just perfect right now. Perfection should never be the goal. The journey is the destination. It's the pursuit of improvement. It's the pursuit of better health, okay? That's what we're trying to get to. So I want you guys to understand that. And so, that said, let me take a quick look at these comments, see what you guys are talking about, and then I'm gonna get into the two biggest things that I hear, that I'm hearing right now in the Clovis Academy. One is hunger levels. Why do I need to hit my macronutrients if I'm not hungry? And we're gonna talk about ketosis, okay? So we'll talk about ketosis, we're gonna jump into those things, and then we're gonna talk about what happens if we continuously don't hit our macronutrients, right? We'll talk about that as well. So if you guys have any questions, start thinking of them right now. I'm gonna see which way this is putting me questions. I wanna make sure that I'm getting them in order as you guys have questions. All right, so we'll take that little break, and the first thing I wanna jump into is ketosis, okay? So a lot of people have been asking about ketosis, and I know we're gonna go over a little bit on time here just because the Facebook failed on me. So let's talk about ketosis, right? And as I have told you guys, my Clovis protocol that I give you is not keto. Okay? It's not. So I know you guys like to send me like articles about keto, or you like to send me things about being super low carb or ketogenic this or ketogenic that, or Jillian Michaels hates ketogenic, blah, blah, blah. Is Jillian Michaels a moron? Yes, she is. But that's the thing, is we're not dealing with the ketogenic diet here, and I need you guys to understand that because I have an extensive history with the ketogenic diet. Remember, the ketogenic diet is why I got here, because it was prescribed for my niece when my niece was having 300 seizures a day. That was my first introduction to the ketogenic diet. The ketogenic diet in that setting was used, what? Therapeutically, okay? The ketogenic diet, in my opinion, is reserved for therapeutic reasons. That's the only reason that I would ever give it to somebody, is if it's a therapy thing, right? If I'm trying to treat something like type 2 diabetes, or there's a great book, Tripping Over the Truth, that's about the metabolic approach to cancer and how, especially in combination with traditional things like chemotherapy, the ketogenic diet can be incredibly therapeutic, right? That's when I use keto. So you guys are not doing keto. Like, I'm not restricting your carbohydrates enough that you would be considered ketogenic. So the idea of ketosis, what people are looking for with a ketogenic diet, is something called deep ketosis. So anytime your body is burning fat for fuel, that is technically a state of ketosis. But there are different levels of ketosis, and different allowances of net carbohydrates will get you into those different levels of ketosis. So that's what I want to talk about with you guys, because what I'm doing is giving you a sustainable plan to basically always be in ketosis. Now, you might wiggle inside and out. One meal might knock you out, and then you're back into light ketosis 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours later, right? But it's not this constant pursuit. Like, one of my favorite quotes is from the founder of Keto Gains, and that's chase results. Don't chase ketones, chase results. This is why I get so worked up when I'm just like, oh no, somebody bought keto strips and they're gonna pee on them, or oh no, somebody bought a blood monitor for ketones, whatever. Like, that stuff drives me crazy with you guys, because like we talked about, you're brand new here. You're infants, okay? And you're putting the cart before the horse. You're trying to take these really, really deep biochemical things and learn about you. Like, if you can only learn about the ketogenic diet surface level, don't do it at all, right? Literally, don't do it at all. So I'm gonna walk you through why that is. So there are different levels of ketosis. So if we say, the way that you test, here's the most accurate thing, right? So you have urine, you have breath, and you have blood, right? So what we can do is remove these because they are not accurate, right? Blood. This is really the only way that you can accurately tell if you are in nutritional ketosis, right? And this is, blood is measured in millimolars. So it's something called millimolars per liter. That's the way that you'll see it written down. Millimolars per liter is the amount of ketones in your bloodstream, and you do that from testing the blood the same way a diabetic would measure their blood glucose levels, and you need a particular strip to do it. These ketone strips used to be $5 a test. Now they're down to about $1 a strip from places called like Keto Mojo or whatever, for anyone who is monitoring for whatever reason. So I want to explain to you is there are different levels of ketosis, right? So if you're doing something like we're doing with Clovis, then we're probably looking at, here, I'll just write out a few for you, like 0.5 to say 0.8 millimolars per liter is probably considered light ketosis. Then you have like 0.9 to maybe 1.4, which is probably medium. Okay, so we'll call that medium ketosis. Then you have 1.5 all the way up to 3 millimolars per liter. This is considered deep ketosis, okay? Now, deep ketosis is of course where the fastest, the most rapid rate of fat burning is going to happen. You're going to be burning the most stored body fat, yes. So people make that their goal. But again, that's short-term goals. Like, I want to be in deep ketosis for 30 days so I can lose 30 pounds in 30 days, blah, 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 right? And they don't take into considerations like this, the reason, so some of the things that Jillian Michael says about keto, right? She starts screaming about hormones and blah, 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 right? If you're a woman, being in deep nutritional ketosis all the time is a real bad idea. It is actually a bad idea for your hormones. But again, details matter. I say this all the time, you guys. Details matter. So Jillian Michaels can get on Steve Harvey and say, women, you're going to disrupt your hormones if you're in ketosis. Yeah, she's talking about deep ketosis. And then you have down here, like for like the Charlie Foundation, epileptic kids, my niece who was having 300 seizures a day, you're talking 3.0 all the way up to 6.0. That's therapeutic. So let's just call this, let's just say therapy here, right? 6 plus, you run the risk of something called keto acidosis. This is extremely difficult to happen. Like 6.0 and up, like that's ketoacidosis where like you can actually die. And ketoacidosis really only happens in diabetics where this is an insulin problem. Their pancreas, their body is not secreting enough insulin to clear the bloodstream of anything. They can't clear glucose, they can't clear ketones. There's just this ridiculous energy surplus. That's ketoacidosis. I'm probably gonna erase that so you don't freak out because that's very, very rare. But this is why people like Jillian Michaels can say, keto can kill you, and you're like, yeah, maybe in certain type 2 diabetics who have ridiculous problems with their pancreas already ahead of time, they weren't healthy enough to do this to begin with, right? So this is the thing. This is why details matter. So let's get rid of ketoacidosis. We'll keep the one all the way up to therapeutic levels. Because sometimes I'll use therapeutic levels. If a type 2 diabetic comes to me and they want to get off insulin and they have a healthy pancreas, then okay, we'll talk about doing this therapeutically to get you off of insulin injections. We can do that. Now, this is what I aim for. Right here, okay? That's a star. That's my sweet spot. This right here, boom, up here, we'll call this Clovis. This is what I'm doing for you guys. Now, this is why I don't consider the Clovis approach a ketogenic diet, right? Because if you do a ketogenic diet, let's say I have you guys on like a 60-30-10 split, right? So we have 60, 30, 10. This is your total calories, right? And we're talking fat, protein, carbohydrates, right? That whole thing where I got all mad at people because they said, this is a high protein diet. And I said, well, what exactly do you consider high protein? Because my definition is different than yours, right? 60-30-10, this can pretty reasonably get you into these states of light and medium ketosis, depending, right? So if you're eating on the Clovis approved foods list and you're hitting your macros, and then you sleep for 8 hours, have like an 8-hour fast, yeah, you might wake up in medium, right? You could maybe even wake up in deep. Oh boy, wait a second, we're in ketosis, right? Yeah, maybe. Now, if you make your goal deep ketosis all the time, it's very difficult because this fat number starts creeping up, right? You're looking at 75% fat, all the way up to 90% fat. Some people are doing 90% of their calories from dietary fat to make sure they stay in therapeutic levels of ketosis. Oh, and by the way, those of you that think the net carb number is difficult to stay under, which some of you do, now you're talking about this. Boom. Less than 5% of your daily calories. Less than 5% of your daily calories are net carbohydrates. It gets much more difficult. Then, by the way, we add to it. Now you gotta take this number and stay at around 20%, maybe less. So now you're cutting down your protein significantly. Like these numbers here, this protein and these carbs number, that's where Jillian Michael and her bullshit comes in and says that this can cause problems for women, right? And she's not entirely wrong. That's why she's able to get away with it. But she's talking about chronically, I mean, you'd have to do this for months and months and months, staying in deep ketosis or therapeutic levels of ketosis before you start having problems as women. My situation, my Clovis protocol, where I give you an allotted 10% daily calories for net carbohydrates, is not going to cause these same problems. This is much more manageable, and you're staying in a reasonable state of fat burning all the time. See what I'm saying? So those of you that don't know much about ketosis, this is what we're talking about. This is ketosis. So I hope this makes sense for you guys. So the other thing to remember is what a lot of women do is when I say that the net carbohydrate, I say fat and protein is a goal, and then I say that net carbohydrates is a limit, right? So what do a lot of people in the academy do? And any of you in the academy who see these posts of people who share their carb manager screenshots, you know what they're doing, right? So I tell them this: 60, 30, 10. So they hit their protein, they hit their fat, and I say, oh, net carbs is a limit. You want to either hit that or stay under it. So they go, okay, let's say their limit is 30 grams. They're like, hell yeah, I'm gonna eat 5 grams of carbs every single day. I'm gonna stay under that net limit. They think that this is increasing fat burning. And the issue is, what they're not doing is, let's say you cut out 200 calories of carbs, you need to replace that somewhere, because I'm giving you a daily caloric intake that you need for optimal functioning, okay? You need this. So if you have this deficit somewhere, then you need to have a positive somewhere else. And that probably needs to come from fat, because I don't want you going much more over 30% of protein, right? So now you need to add in the fat. So you need to take whatever your number is for fat, and now you need to add more fat on top of that. You need to crush it. You see what I'm saying? Because you now have an energy issue, right? You're not giving your body what it needs. It needs fat or carbohydrates for energy, so it has to get it from somewhere. So now this whole details matter. The intricacies get much, much crazier, right? I've done all of this for you. I've done all of this guesswork for you. That's what your custom plan is. You need to trust it. You need to have patience, okay? Because I don't want you in deep ketosis, therapeutic ketosis levels all the time, especially since 98% of you are women and you can have issues, okay? So, like I said, don't chase ketones, chase results. Let me take a look at some. Let's take a break and let's take a look at some comments. What do we got here? Even though we aren't keto, someone told me that they need to do their macro split per each meal, not those macro split per day. Is that true? No, it's not true at all. I'm not entirely sure why somebody would say that, honestly. I mean, because literally, even if you... Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my head around why they would say that. That's not accurate. Because if you said, let's say I give you 10% of your daily carbohydrates, you could eat all 10% of your daily calories and carbohydrates. Like your breakfast could be 100% your daily carbs. You could eat all 10% of your daily carbs in one meal and then still hit your macros for the rest of the day, that split, and be just fine. Now, it might mean it might take you a couple hours extra to enter light or mild or medium ketosis, but it really doesn't matter. So if you're breaking it down hour by hour, I think that was probably somebody who's looking at a bodybuilding approach where you need to eat every 2 to 3 hours and you need to keep it. So to answer your, long story short, I don't know why somebody would make that statement, but no, I don't think that's the case at all. What else we got? They were told by someone doing keto. Yeah, no, most people do not understand how to do keto. What else we got? Jackie, totally guilty of skipping any. Yes, that's the thing, is it's once people find out that it's easy to remove carbs, they're like, yes, no carbs, perfect. I'm just gonna stay way under, and they don't adjust like they understand. Now, for most of you, when you come to me with significant weight to lose, I am putting you at a caloric deficit. So those of you that think like in the beginning, you're like, this is so much food, I need to eat so much food, I probably still have you at a 20% caloric deficit. So for maintenance health, you'd have to take the numbers I give you and add 20% to all of them, just for maintenance, right? Most people are drastically under eating, drastically. So if you're staying away under those carbs, now you're taking your caloric deficit into 25%, 30%. 30% caloric deficit is not medically safe. So that's the importance of hitting your macronutrients. What else we got? Casey, you do have energy issues all the time, you little sugar burner. You and your donuts. I'm sorry, I'm teasing you. All right, what else we got? I see people telling others they don't need to eat their carbs, but you told me to hit my macros, including my carbs. Yes, I did. There is a reason for that. I would like to prefer, now if your goal is 30 grams net carbs, right? If that's your limit, right? If you hit 24, 26, whatever, but I don't want to see you at 5, right? If I tell you to eat 30 a day and that's your limit, and I say, hey, just don't go over, just use it as a limit, that's crazy, right? You don't want to do that. Krista, we're just about to talk about hungry, okay? We're going to get into that. That's the next thing that I want to talk about because it's like the number one question I get. Last couple days under the weather, so I fasted. Yeah, if you're fasting and that's a goal, if you want to fast, that's fantastic, you know? Great, fast. I think fasting is fantastic for you, but don't look at fasting as a fat loss thing. I want to remove this from people's heads, right? Everybody looks at fasting as a fat loss thing. The goal of fasting is autophagy and apoptosis, which is programmed cell death. This is a longevity play. Like fasting is super popular because of the longevity play. Now intermittent fasting has gotten very popular because of the fat burning benefits. But again, this hunger thing you guys are talking about, you're gonna have a real serious issue on your hands because it's gonna be very hard to hit your macronutrients. And I'm gonna explain to you why. So any questions about ketosis? I mean, we can keep talking about ketosis. I'm gonna explain why people are not hungry on this. So if I don't have any other questions, we're gonna jump into that. Fasted cardio. Okay, Casey, that's a really good question. I did my entire workout this morning fasted, right? I like to do that, and that was because I was coming back from Mexico, where had a couple beers, had a margarita sin azúcar, right? Which I get them to bring me the sugar on the side, literally, so we can put a couple drops in the margarita if you want to, right? Because it's homemade margaritas out there. So little things like that, a couple things I shouldn't have eaten, took activated charcoal, whatever, a couple supplements to make me feel good. So when I get back, I just fasted for a long time, and then I did my workout this morning fasted, and it was mostly aerobic threshold training and then an immense amount of glycolytic activity. So I was doing really, really heavy kettlebell work, right? I was doing clean and jerks, I was doing thrusters, I was doing two-handed swings, I was doing a lot of mobility work, a lot of stuff. I was outside in the sun doing some crazy kettlebell stuff. So fasted cardio. The issue that I have with fasted cardio is like with you, I know you do a lot of running, 5Ks, 10Ks, that kind of thing, and you're trying to do 9-minute miles, 8-minute miles, 7-minute miles, whatever, right? You're in a glycolytic zone. Your heart rate is so high that you're burning sugar, you're not burning fat. So the concept of fasted cardio is to help you burn fat, right? But if you go above a certain aerobic threshold, you will burn sugar no matter what. So instead of burning body fat because you're running too hard, you're huffing and puffing, then you're going to start stripping your own lean muscle tissue. Now you're gonna have an even bigger energy issue, right? Because you're literally stripping your body's lean muscle because you're doing glycolytic activity. And that aerobic threshold is way lower than people think. Even someone like you who runs all the time, I bet if we started you on aerobic threshold training, you'd be walking/jogging slightly, and then you'd have to stop and walk because your heart rate's spiking too high. It's very, very low intensity. Now, I am a huge fan of aerobic threshold training below a certain heart rate while fasted for fat burning. That's fantastic, but it has to be done correctly. So if you want to do it correctly, you got my cell phone number, okay? What else we got? Yes, 180 minus your age. That's 100% correct. All right, so let's get into why am I not hungry, right? Because a lot of you guys asked me about this week, and I got a lot of emails about it. Why am I not hungry? Okay, so I told you guys this before. Hormones run the show. Hormones are in charge of literally everything. Everything. Hormones are in charge of everything, and this is where people like Jillian Michaels who get pissed about keto talk about it because there can be hormone problems with the ketogenic diet long term, okay? So, I want to talk to you about two hormones in particular. Hormones regulate appetite by way of the hypothalamus in your brain, right? It's about the size of an almond, and it literally controls your hunger. Now, there are two hormones that play massive roles in this. That's ghrelin and leptin, okay? So I'm going to touch on ghrelin briefly. So we have ghrelin, right? And we have leptin. Leptin is the big one. We're going to talk a lot about leptin. So, at the risk of, I don't want to make anybody feel bad or anything like that, I just have to get this out there right off the bat. I'm going to warn some people. This whole hunger thing, This is more of an issue if you have a significant amount of body fat to lose. And I'm gonna explain why. So most of the time, if someone comes to me, like now a rarity like Krista is quite small, you know? So yes, this will happen with smaller people as well, but it's more of a real problem of like if you really feel like you're force feeding yourself, the more body fat you have, because leptin is actually created in adipose tissue. Like your fat creates leptin. Your fat creates a hormone the same way that cholesterol creates, you know, testosterone, things like that. It's really interesting. But so that is an issue there. So let's talk about this. Ghrelin is basically your I'm hungry hormone, right? So ghrelin tells you that you're hungry, and it does this. Really, the only thing that tells it that to start activating is when your stomach is empty, right? So when your stomach's empty, the ghrelin thing kicks in, and carbohydrates are the fastest to clear from your body, so that's why you can eat like a bunch of white sushi rice and be hungry 2 hours later. That's because your stomach is empty. It empties fastest with carbohydrates, empties slower with fat and protein. That leaves you leaving fuller for longer, right? So your stomach's empty, ghrelin kicks in, blah, 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 blah. Now, leptin is literally produced by adipose tissue. Leptin is created from fat. So the more body fat you have, the more leptin is released. So leptin is I'm full. That's the hormone that tells you I'm full. Now the more body fat you have, the more leptin is released. But wait a second. I just said that overweight people are dealing with more of this issue than underweight people are. So you would think if you have more body fat, creates more leptin, but leptin is telling you to stop eating, right? Okay, so here's what's happening. When you first come to me and we switch over into the approved foods list, odds are if you were an obese person, if you were ever overeating or something like that, or overeating carbohydrates or always felt hungry, then you switch to Clovis and you're like, but I'm never hungry, how can I eat these how can I hit these macros? So what's happening is a few things are responsible for something called leptin resistance. Now, if you guys had any experience with diabetics, you have insulin resistance, right? So the pancreas keeps spitting out insulin and a cell is insulin resistant. They're not sensitive to that insulin. So the receptors, the insulin receptors are malfunctioning. The same thing happens with leptin. You have leptin receptors. So if these leptin receptors are desensitized, if you're leptin resistant, then what happens is a ton of leptin is spitting out, right? And you're not getting the signals that you need, okay? So, let me see here, I got some notes. This leptin is basically the master fat hormone, okay? So when you become leptin resistant, your body never gets that I'm full signal, right? So we need to correct this, right? So what happens is inflammation can cause leptin resistance. So this I'm full thing, this is happening all the time, and your body's never getting the signal as an obese person with an improper diet, okay? So a couple things that make leptin resistant happen is inflammation, and one of the big offenders of this, one of the biggest offenders of leptin resistance is fructose. Our old friend fructose. I love to fight with people about fruit and fruit sugars and soda with high fructose corn syrup. So if you were so this is what's happening. If you were an obese person and you used to drink soda, or you used to drink fruit juices, or you used to eat a lot of fruit, or you ate a lot of carbohydrates or things that are inflammatory, you were probably a lot hungrier then because leptin was being released from the body fat, but you weren't getting the signal because you were leptin resistant. So you feel very, very, very hungry. When you're eating a ton of carbohydrates and inflammatory foods, you feel very, very hungry all the time, right? And this happens with skinny people too. Skinny people who just eat all day long and never seem to gain weight, but eat, right? They're never getting the I'm full leptin signal. So when you switch over to Clovis and all of a sudden you're never hungry, think about why that is happening, right? One of the first things we do with Clovis is remove inflammatory foods. We remove the fructose, we remove the inflammatory foods. You start eating from the approved foods list. So when you eat from the approved foods list, the inflammation goes down. When the inflammation is corrected, we beat something called leptin resistance. All right? So you were dealing with leptin resistance as an overweight person who is probably drinking sodas or eating fruit or whatever. You're never getting that I'm full signal because the leptin receptors were damaged. So we remove the inflammation, remove the problematic foods, we correct the leptin resistance, and now the more body fat you have, the more leptin hormone is being manufactured and spit out to the hypothalamus in your brain, telling you that you are full. So once we correct, so the leptin, this is already floating around. You already have the leptin. The I'm full hormone is already floating around in your body. You just never could pick up on it because of leptin resistance. So when we correct the leptin resistance, now you have an overflow of leptin in the body, and you are constantly getting a signal in your brain that you wouldn't get before. I'm full, I'm full, I'm full, I'm full, I'm full. Your brain is now freaking out, getting a ton of leptin, telling you that you don't need to eat. Like it's saying, okay, we have a bunch of body fat, we have a ton of leptin hitting us in the face, literally crossing the blood-brain barrier and hitting you in the brain saying, we're full, we're full, we're full. And it will actually take a lot of effort to eat in this situation because this leptin signal is gonna be so strong, right? So when I tell you guys that hormones run the show and we're balancing hormones, I'm always trying to balance your hormones. This is part of that, this whole story, right? Remove the inflammation, correct the leptin resistance. Leptin is being created at an incredibly high rate thanks to the body fat that you have. And now this I'm full signal, this right here, is smacking you in the face all day long. Bang, 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 I'm full, I'm full, I'm full, I'm full. That's what's happening. That's why you're not hungry. So there's nothing to do with ketosis. It has nothing to do with fasting, none of those things, right? This is just a hormone situation. So I'm correcting hormone problems in the body. But during this time, it is critical that you continue to hit your macros. Because we're correcting things in the body. We're constantly correcting things in the body. We do that through nutrient density. We give your body what it needs to continue correcting all these little issues that you didn't even know existed in your own body. We're correcting these things. So as your hormone situation starts to play out, women, how many of you have gotten in the academy and said, my first 30 days, my hormones were so weird, my cycle was different, right? Or like, hey, you guys get on there and you're like, this may be TMI, but like, has anybody have any issues with their cycle? Is anything different? Is anything weird? Your hormones are trying to figure shit out, man. Your hormones are literally like, what the fuck is happening? This is what's happening. This is your body going, what the fuck, man? This is crazy. And they're trying to figure things out. They're trying to get back to a healthy place. You need to let this play out. Stop trying to fix everything. It's like when you have a little baby and they have a fever and they have a 2-degree fever, right? 2 degrees extra, the baby's not gonna die. The body's fixing itself. Don't shove Tylenol in the baby's mouth and stop this thing from happening. Everybody freaks out. And my cycle was a little weird. I need to go to the doctor and get a pill to fix this, right? No, it's ridiculous. Like, let your body fix this thing. To rebuild my life, to rebuild my health, to rebuild my future. I'm literally trying to piece your future together like Legos. I'm trying to build this future for you. Let it happen. Please, let it happen. But you do it. I know it's difficult when you have this level of leptin floating around in your system, but you do need to continue to hit those macros. And I want to talk to you about why you need to hit those macros. When I hit on that, I know we've gone really late now. Let me see some of these questions here. What do we got? Last time I ran a 10-minute mile, my heart was only 140, 38, so my max was 142, so after 30 days, I was going to go back to what I was doing. Don't worry about after the 30 days. We just talked about that. I'll talk to you after 30 days when the 30 days are over. Yeah, salt shots help with energy big time. Electrolytes are a big deal, right? So I do 5 to 7 grams of sodium a day. So if you're doing a half teaspoon, that's like literally like 5 times a day, okay? So you can do the salt shot a ton. And we need to figure out here, all right. Yeah, Carla, we can talk about salt shots. I don't want to get too far off on that because we're sitting on this right now. Call me grazers because I would eat all day long. Yeah, Krista, exactly. That's a hormone thing, right? So your ghrelin was always freaking out and leptin was never telling you that you're full. I love science. Bone broth at night, collagen peptides, salt, amazing. Yeah, that's great. Hormones in full effect in my world all of a sudden. Yes, fantastic. We're evening things out. All right, so let's talk about what happens when you don't hit your macros. So this is the thing that I usually get to hit people in the face with, and then they go, oh, I see. How many people have lost weight and then go, I need to get plastic surgery? I need a tummy tuck. I need this. I need that, right? That's an issue. Like I've cited this before. There's the longest medically supervised fast was 382 days. This guy went from like 300 and something pounds to 180 pounds, fasted for 382 days straight, did nothing but take little electrolyte pills. He just lived off of his body fat and didn't need any surgery at the end. His body just corrected itself, which is really interesting when you give the body what it needs, right? Now this guy had a significant amount of body fat to lose, and it just kind of corrected itself through fasting, which I obviously don't recommend that. I don't think you need to do that. But it's just what can happen with not hitting your macros, and obviously this guy was in a fasted state, so he's kind of an anomaly, but I'm just letting you understand that the body can do pretty incredible things if you give it what it needs. Now this is an example of somebody who, in my opinion, didn't give the body what it needs. He did have electrolytes and things like that, yeah, sure. But what I want you guys to understand is these two different states, right? So you have something called catabolic, and you have anabolic. So catabolic is basically breaking things down. Like I just said this for Casey because Casey runs a lot. We were talking about fasted cardio, right? So if you start doing things like fasted cardio, so I'll tell you another example. This guy who fasted, he absolutely did not do any working out. I guarantee it. This was a sedentary person, right? He had to be because this catabolic thing, if you're doing too much, this catabolic state, like I was telling her, it will actually break down your lean muscle tissue because everything runs off amino acids and glucose or whatever, right? So it'll strip your amino acids, strip your muscle glycogen to create glucose in the bloodstream for energy, right? That's catabolic. Catabolic is literally breaking down tissue into smaller molecules. Now, anabolic is taking molecules to build tissue, right? So it's piecing things together, like anabolic steroids make your muscles bigger, right? So you're making things grow in an anabolic state. So what I want women to understand too is that if you don't hit your macros chronically, like, so obviously you're not gonna fast for 300 something days, right? In which the body can actually figure things out on its own. But if you're giving it too much of the wrong things or not enough of the good things, which are these starvation diets, these where you're eating 900 calories a day, you're eating 1,000 calories a day, these things are eliciting hormone responses. So it's literally worse for you than just fasting. Like literally, like eating 500, 600, 700 calories, 900 calories, 1,000 calories a day is actually worse for you and your physique results, all those skin issues and everything, than completely fasting and taking an electrolyte capsule like this guy did. Because it throws everything out of whack because these hormone responses are still happening because foods impact your hormones in a specific way. So these hormone responses happen in an unbalanced way and you start having really, really serious issues. So that's the issue where if you don't hit your macros, so you get this ghrelin, leptin balance, right? Now you're getting the I'm full signal, you're not feeling hungry. So what ends up happening is you're way, way, way low on your net carbohydrates like we talk about. You're not getting anywhere near, you're saying, oh, I have 30 grams allotted, I'm only gonna eat 5 grams, it's gonna help me lose more fat. But then you don't adjust your protein, you don't adjust your fat, you don't put those things up. What can happen is you can end up in a chronically catabolic state. Okay? So chronically catabolic state means that your body's literally stripping its own muscle tissue down. You don't want to be in a catabolic state. That's the risk that you run when you are not hitting your macronutrients, okay? So hitting your macros is super, super important. That's just a little bit about, I guess, leptin, ghrelin, ketosis. We talked about catabolic, talked about anabolic. So remember, once those hormones even out, I want this to continually go further and further down the line. So most of you come to me when you've been eating soda or fruit or candy or carbohydrates. You come to me malnourished, and I'm trying to give your body what it needs to balance out these hormones to make the future brighter, right? But then, as these hormones start to balance out, you say, well, now I'm not hungry, or I'm gonna practice intermittent fasting, or I'm not gonna hit my net carbs, or I'm not gonna hit my fat and protein, I'm gonna eat less. Or a lot of people come to me and say, I think my macros need to be adjusted. I'm not losing weight fast enough, so you need to adjust my macros. Maybe I'm eating too much. A lot of you women in the academy still say that to me. Maybe I'm eating too much. Maybe I'm eating too much. Remember, I had you at like a 20% caloric deficit for most of you. I don't want you below a 25%, below a 30%. I don't want that, right? We're trying to make you the healthiest person that you can be. And of course, it's gonna take some time. Everybody loses body fat at different rates as well. We've talked about the toxins stored in the body fat. There's so much at play here. All right, let's see what we got. If I'm allowed 35 grams of carbs, is it okay? I'm usually around 32. Yes, absolutely. That's what I said when I was listing those out. It's like if you're allowed 35 grams and you're hitting 5 grams every day, now you're never a problem. But again, and that's the same for protein and carbohydrates. If I tell you you need 100 grams of protein and you're hitting 98 grams, 96 grams, 97 grams, 94 grams, right? That's really not an issue. It's when I tell you you need 100 grams of protein and you're hitting 60, 70, 75, right? When you're really, really missing the mark by large percentages, that's when things get really scary. So again, go back to that example of the 382-day fasting guy. Like literally, if the body, if you give it just a blank slate to do whatever it wants, it will perfectly regulate its own hormones. Where you throw wrenches into things is when you're actually giving it food and not letting it do its own thing. Like, it's pretty incredible to know that your body can do such an amazing thing with a 382-day fast. But that's literally actually better for you than just kind of willy-nilly hitting macros. It's actually, it's really nuts when you think about it. Like, the body is just an incredible thing. Now again, if I tried a 382-day fast, I would die because I'm 12% body fat, right? I would literally die. I would make it maybe 60 days, I don't know, something like that, and then I would die. It's completely different. Everybody's different. That worked for that guy because he was 300 plus pounds, and he let its body do exactly what it's naturally going to do over that 382 days. So I don't want any of you to just, not give yourself the net carbohydrates that you can have. If I give you a lot of net carbs, there's a reason for that. And that's what we talked about, the light and medium levels of ketosis, okay? So even as your hunger hormones start to sort themselves out, I really want you to make an effort to hit your macronutrients, okay? Just to clarify, it's okay to go over on fat and protein as long as you're staying under your carb limit, right? Yes, now, but this gets tricky, right? So I calculate your macronutrients very carefully, and that's why you come to me to get them done. So as we know, you're gonna have to do some math, right? So fat is 9 calories per gram, protein and carbs are 4, right? So if you miss your carbs by, I don't know, let's say 20 grams, you gotta figure out exactly how many calories that is, and then do the calculation to say, I missed this many calories of carbohydrates, now I need to make up that many calories of fat, which is a different calculation because it's more than twice the calories. So it gets a little wonky. But if you feel like doing that math, have at it, okay? I just want to explain to you that it's not gram for gram. These things are not gram for gram. That's why macronutrients get so tricky. So, I mean, I could walk you through the math, but it's a giant pain in the ass of like 60% of your total calories. If you have 1,000 calories, that doesn't mean that you get 600 grams of fat. You know what I mean? Like, grams and calories are not an equal equation. So there's math there. So understand that. If you're going over a certain percentage if you're going a certain number of grams, that's a certain number of calories. You need to make those calories up elsewhere. And I prefer if you lower carbohydrates, you increase fat. If I had it my way. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. So, yeah, see, exactly. Lynette, you don't need math. You don't need math. Don't worry about it. If you meet your so you're saying if you meet your carbs, and then you want to go over, so you meet your carbs and go over protein and fat, not a problem. Again, what I was just telling you is most of you are coming to me for fat loss, right? So I probably have you around a 20% caloric deficit. You got wiggle room. Don't worry. You're not, and again, overeating is not a problem. If you came to me and said you wanted to build lean mass, I'd probably put you at a 10% caloric surplus, So it's not, overeating is not bad if the macronutrient ratios are the same. So don't worry about overeating. I much rather would have you overeat than undereat, for the reason we just talked about, catabolic and anabolic. Newbie here, I don't understand what macros are. Okay, AMA number 15. So, yeah, that's probably the best one. Clovis.store/AMA. I think it's number 15. Can't remember off the top of my head. But there's one where I break down literally every single macronutrient. But long story short, your macronutrients are fat, protein, carbohydrates, and I only track net carbohydrates. So if you go through the AMAs, you can learn about all the macro things, right? So everything there is to know about macros can be found in those AMAs, from deep dives to small little times that I've talked about it in AMAs, because there's now 19 AMAs. But yeah, also, Casey, you need to just get a plan done. We've been talking about it long enough. You need to just do a plan. Clear as mud. All right. So we talked about what it means to be free. We talked about you all being beautiful caterpillars. We talked about Mexico. We talked about leptin, ghrelin. We talked about goal setting, how it can sabotage your freedom. We're talking about a lot of stuff tonight. I mean, this was kind of a crazy crash course in the ketosis thing and your hunger hormones and catabolic versus anabolic. There's a lot of stuff here. So if you have any questions, hit me with them right now. We'll hang out for a couple more minutes, and then I want to tell you guys about the offer. We do have an offer for you tonight because a lot of you have been asking me about paleo powder, and you're out of paleo powder, or you need new paleo powder. So instead of getting fancy, like obviously we've done Clovis Kids and custom macronutrients, and Casey, if you do decide that you want macros, you can just do hashtag buy macros, and we'll do that for you. So I think it might be buy custom macros. I don't remember, but we'll figure it out. So that's not the thing tonight. Casey, you can also text me if you want to talk about custom macros. But for those of you who are out of paleo powder, we haven't done this particular deal in a while. So what we're gonna do is give you fat loss paleo powder, which is $79.99. And I'm gonna go ahead and give you $20 off fat loss. So you can get fat loss for $59.99, 20 bucks off. We're gonna run that right now. You can do it through the hashtag commenting. I think I see more questions coming up. So I'll hit some questions here in a second. I'll hang out with you for a little bit. But all you have to do is hashtag buy fat loss. So, right, hashtag buy fat loss in the comments if you need new paleo powder, and then you just have to do whatever flavor you want. So, buy fat loss space vanilla or chocolate, okay? So these are the two things you can do. Hashtag buy fat loss, and you'll get $20 off your bag of fat loss. If you want more than one, just do a couple. You can do a couple different hashtags. If you do a hashtag, you'll probably get charged twice. So just know that. If you want to buy fat loss right now, just use hashtag buy fat loss. Type in the flavor you want, chocolate or vanilla, and you will get $20 off. We gotta give you a deal. We do it every week. We always give you deals, right? Always give you an offer. So this AMA was a little bit different. Obviously did it from my house, a little less techie. Sorry for the failed thing. That was really confusing. I don't know how that happened or why it happened, but I was not monitoring it at the time. I was looking at notes. That sucked. Sorry about that. We'll edit it all down for you. This will go up tomorrow in the clovis.store/AMA. That web link that I talked about has show notes and resources, all those things, and it'll be compressed. We'll put it into one video so you guys can have just a clear version where you can see everything start to finish if you go back and take a look at it. All right, so what are we looking at? I'm hungry. Is it too late to eat? No, it's not. As long as you're I'm probably gonna eat a full half pound of grass-fed ground beef after this. So no, it's not too late to eat, trust me. As long as your macros are right, it's really this eating late at night thing is kind of a myth. What else we got? Zucchini, can we not have it because of the seeds? Can we remove the seeds and eat it? No, zucchini is loaded with lectins. It's not just the seeds. Trust me, just stay away from them for at least the first 30 days, and we can talk about preparation techniques, but it's a real pain in the butt. And the nutrient density doesn't really make sense. It's just not. It's not a fantastic food to eat. It's like tomatoes. People love tomatoes. I'm like, it doesn't really do much for you. Dr. Bronner says sugar soap. Should we avoid the sugar soap? Yeah, I probably would avoid it. I mean, it's really not. It's to answer your question about is it like your skin is not. There's no digestive system in your skin, right? So this is a little, it's kind of funny to me, right? Because I said that to people, and a lot of people said similar things to what you did. I'm like, if I wouldn't eat it, I wouldn't put it on my skin, but that doesn't mean putting it on your skin is the same as eating it, right? Like you're not getting grams of sugar in your bloodstream that are gonna make, like Dr. Bronner's sugar soap is not gonna inflame you or make you fat. It just doesn't, just kind of silly. But I mean, if it had sugar on it, I probably wouldn't put it on my body. There's really no reason to. He's got a million other soap brands that don't have sugar, you know. I know the Dr. Bronner's soap that I get doesn't have sugar in it, so I wouldn't worry about it. All right, what do we got? You're on day 30. Congratulations, Carla. That's awesome. Hey, Cambria, you're going to want to just fix your hashtag. You put butt fat loss, B-U-T. So you want to put B-U-Y. Just make sure, when you guys do these hashtags, we need our technology to pick them up. So just make sure that you do them perfectly. I'm not laughing at you, Chris. I'm sorry. It's just a funny question. Like if I washed my hands with sugar every day, 3 times a day, hundreds of grams of sugar, I wouldn't gain fat. Just wouldn't happen that way. It's not going through your digestive system. So that's how things get broken down and put out into the bloodstream for things like being stored in fat cells or stored as glycogen in your muscles. It's just a different thing. I'm sorry, I had to tease you for a second. What up, Matt Frew? Hey, man. All right, cool. So Mishka, she's doing by fat loss chocolate. That's awesome. Cambria, again, just make sure that you check that. Oh, there we go. We got Cambria's, your order came through. Okay, awesome, killer. Yeah, so we're gonna run this by fat loss chocolate. Thank you so much. That's awesome. We're gonna keep running this. And again, like I've talked to you guys about this before, but on all of our videos, we have this hashtag system built in. So if you go tomorrow and watch this video and you decide that you want fat loss then, just type in hashtag buy fat loss vanilla, hashtag buy fat loss chocolate, whatever. Put a little, I don't know if it matters if there's a space, but you won't want to put a space between there. And then you can get the same deal, right? So I don't know how long the wizard will run it for. Like everybody comes to me with all this deal stuff too. Like keep in mind, if you have like customer service things or whatever, message Josh Haley on Facebook because he deals with all this back end stuff. I actually don't. I don't even know how any of this shit works, but I love it. It's awesome, but I'm not the tech guy. So I'm just trying to tell you guys what you need to do, but just know that at any given time, if you see a video, if you're watching AMA, like Casey, if you go and you're watching AMA number 15 and it says like hashtag buy custom macros, just comment on that video right then and there and your order will still go through. So you don't have to do this right now. The only difference is when we run specials like this, if you go back a week from now, 2 weeks from now, and you type in buy fat loss chocolate, it's probably not going to work because we're not going to be running that same deal. Or you might get sent to a new sale page and you might get charged full price. So you might punch this in and it might be back to that $79.99 price. So you're always better off if you think you need paleo powder, you got a little bit left, you're planning on ordering a week or whatever. We have these deals and when they're running like right now, you want to jump on them. Because if you come to me on Wednesday and the wizard is no longer running this deal, I got nothing for you. So a lot of people like to email me and they're like, hey, I need a discount for paleo powder. I need a discount. I'm like, we're not running any right now. You know? So that's the way that we work this is our thank you to you for watching these videos. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for being here and being a part of this with us, right? This is my gift to you for letting me give you the knowledge that I have up here and the things that I care about right here. I get to give them to you. And this is my way of saying thank you. So if you just email me randomly and say like, hey, I think I need a discount, I'm probably not going to give you a discount. It's just not going to happen that way. So this is for you guys consuming our content because we really, really appreciate it. And share this with your friends, share this with your family. Like I said, you can tag people in the comments and that will bring them directly to this video if you think they need to learn about ketosis or learn about leptin and ghrelin, or you got somebody who's been talking crazy shit about ketosis and you think they don't know what they're talking about. Bring them here to watch this video, tell them they can leave comments, and I will interact with them if they have different opinions. That's always fun. So this was AMA number 15, how setting goals sabotages freedom. So I really want you guys to just remember that these setting short-term goals that are just crazy or impossible to hit, it's gonna make things a lot harder for you. It's gonna take away from your future. Rebuilding your life, rebuilding your health, rebuilding your future. It's gonna take away from the future portion of that because you make it too difficult in the beginning, right? So we've basically just I've given you an exact plan that you need. If you've gotten your custom plan, just follow it. You don't need to email me, you don't need to ask me how to tweak. I'll tell you how to tweak if you need to tweak, okay? What else we got? About Visbiome, my nursing 1-year-old's on antibiotic for sickness when we take Visbiome once she's done her meds. Is she getting enough through nursing or should she be taking it? She should be taking a separate dose. If you have her on antibiotics, you should absolutely get her on probiotics, but wait until she's done the course of antibiotics. So once she's done the course of antibiotics, you're gonna wanna get in the Visbiome website and they have specific instructions for infants. They have dosing for infants. I would highly recommend that you maybe even double the dosing for infants. Again, not a medical doctor. This is not to be taken as medical advice, ever. But if I had a child and they were on antibiotics, I would give them a hefty dose of Visbiome probiotics after. I wouldn't do it at the same time because then the antibiotics are just going to be killing the healthy bacteria that you're putting in the baby's belly because antibiotics are napalm. So do that after the fact. Really helpful insight tonight. Me and my sugar soap are out. All right, Krista, bye. Go get some sleep. Thank you. You can use your sugar soap if you want to. It's cool. So I got to be careful with these things, Shannon, because I can't give you straight up medical advice. If I had a child, I would not be worried about the child overdosing on probiotics. That's really not a thing that I would have any concern about. No, I don't think that there is, Jenny. I personally don't, now that I'm not talking to someone directly, I can just say this. I don't think there is such a thing as a probiotic overdose. However, you can cause a probiotic imbalance if you're using a poor probiotic. So let's say we talk about imbalances in the gut that can happen from poor food choices. The same thing can happen if you just took one strain of probiotic and dumped 500 billion CFU every single day, you could have an overgrowth of that one particular bacteria. But that's why Visbiome is so great, because there's multiple different strains in very, very high doses. So there is that, you're getting a whole bunch of different strains of bacteria. That's very, very important. You want diversity in the gut, right? So you're giving it diversity using a high quality product like that. Yeah, I think we sold out Visbiome. Another great one is Just Thrive or Thrive probiotics. I think it's Just Thrive. Just Thrive is pretty great because they're spore-forming bacteria. So Thrive is another one, but it's in capsule form, so that gets tough if you have little ones. You've got to probably pop it out and put it into liquid or something like that, like put the powder into liquid. But Thrive probiotic is another great one. Spore-forming, awesome. All right, so if you guys don't have any more questions, I think we're going to wrap this one up. You guys are awesome. This is number 19 weeks. I can't believe we're 19 weeks in. Remember, we're going to run this. I don't know how long we're going to run this particular deal for. I really don't know. Buy some as a gift. Buy it for your friends, right? Buy it for Father's Day. Like, here you go, Dad. I bought you 73 bags of powder, and I'm Justin Nault's favorite person in the world. That's what will happen if you buy 72 bags. Just leave 72 comments. It'll be awesome. All right, what else you guys got? Any questions? Nothing? We cashing out of this thing? It's getting late, right? Sorry about the technical difficulties. Next week we'll be back with the wizard and everything. All will be well. Thank you guys so much for letting me do this. This was a really good one. It was really fun. A lot of stuff that I kind of just wanted to get out of my head with this inspiration from Mexico and all that. So I love you guys so, so, so much. Keep leaving me questions. Feel free to get on social media. Remember to follow us on everything. Instagram at The Clovis Culture. We run deals sometimes on Instagram as well, besides these. So that's pretty cool. At The Clovis Culture. Facebook.com/The Clovis Culture. That's where you're watching this. The Academy. Get on the Academy and invite your friends. Don't hoard the Academy. Don't hoard the Academy. Go to the members section and add people and add all the people you love to the Academy so we can do the most amount of good. You guys are awesome. Academy, Clovis Kids is booming. We have some really, really exciting stuff for Clovis Kids. We are meeting up bright and early tomorrow to get a whole bunch done for Clovis Kids. A lot of really exciting stuff happening. So, I'm gonna cash out of here. It's super hot in this room. I'm sweating to death, and I love you guys. Ask me anything. Number 19, how setting goals sabotages freedom. We'll have it up tomorrow. Show notes, resources, all the things you need. You guys are awesome. Hashtag buy fat loss. Do it. All right, guys. Good night. I will see you tomorrow for Manifesto in the Academy. Yep.